יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Welcome everyone. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
My name is Rabbi Jonathan Falco. I'm joined by
I'm Cantor Wally Shackett Briskin.
there is an echo here.
Just keep talking, I'll fix it.
Oh, okay.
Joined by our lovely clergy team. We ask you to please silence your cell phones so that there are no distractions throughout the service. There are books in the back for children, for anyone who wants to take a step aside to be able to to be able to get a sense of walking out and to walk out for a second if they need, to be distracted.
Just talk loud for a minute.
Sounds good.
The gremlins are active in our sound system tonight, so
Yes.
thank you for your patience.
This service will also be live streamed in room 2 for those who need to leave the sanctuary for any reason. And because it's Shabbat, a time for friends, family, relaxation, and recharging, we offer this opportunity for you to look around to those next to you and wish them a good Shabbos and a hello and a good start to the end of this week. It's my pleasure to invite up Jane to do our announcements for our service this evening.
After years of dealing with young kids in school, I can speak loud enough for Aramaic. If you can't hear me, just raise your hand. Mazel tov to Daniel and his parents on this very special occasion that they're becoming born. Just a few brief announcements. Shari Emmett will have a special Shabbat service next Friday, January 27th at 7:30 p.m., featuring our first Shabbat speaker of 2023. Rabbi Josh Weinberg, Executive Director of the Association of Reform Zionists of America, ARZA, will join us and will discuss his Israel engagement work on behalf of the Reform movement. Stay afterwards to join him for a question and answer session at the Omer. Thank you to Shelley and Mark Wilner, the Hineni Fund, Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West New Jersey for sponsoring this event. Tuesday, January 24th, from 8:15 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., Rabbi Pakin will lead a Taste of Musar, Finding the Curriculum of Your Soul, a 4-session independent learning course developed by Dr. Alan Marines, founder of the Musar Institute. The course introduces you to the experience of Musar. There are no prerequisites, only English is required. You can register on our website or in person, and you can attend in person or online. As you know, we have a shelter program that takes place during the winter. We still have openings for people to volunteer to stay overnight, to provide a meal, or for transportation. It's truly a mitzvah to help those look on the internet for more information on this, please. Torah study is tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Wednesday mornings at 11 o'clock, and we have a morning minion service tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. We want to thank the Horowitz family on sponsoring this ONED. Actually, that's what it says here, but it's
The Levy.
Horowitz family for sponsoring this ONED. It's wonderful to be here tonight with everyone. Shabbat Shalom and a healthy and happy New Year to you all.
Shabbat Shalom. I also
Still doing it. I also want to mention one other thing. Our congregation provides volunteers on Mondays to Central State Hospital to visit patients who are sick. COVID is now quieter, and we are able to do that. If you are willing to take once a month and go visit Jewish patients on a Monday, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will help you make connections.
Excellent. And it is my honor to announce our temple offerings for this Shabbat. Temple offerings are in memory of Lawrence Wexler, Shelley Glashow, Jane Bosson, Thelma Terry Heitner, Arnie Epstein, as well as for the yard sites of Jack Fireman, Joseph D. Wasserman, Gerald Wasserman, Eleanor Garlick, Harry Robert Gross, Eleanor Ostrowitz, Larry Slater, Sarah Waldman, Ella Fox, Hope Lipman, Carol Moskowitz, Jean Iskowitz, Morris Gelber, Fanny Alderman, Seth Hanover, Saul Fisher, Alex Citron, Blanche Axelrod, David Novick, Jacob Kornbla, Trudy Novick, Elaine Kornbla, Pat Porter, Sarah Ruth Modell, and Francis Friedman. Temple offerings are also in honor of Jerry and Mike Kaplan, the engagement of Brittany Schwartz and Austin Leist, the engagement of Brooke Schwartz and Matthew Fishkin, the engagement of Benjamin Sugarman and Emily Breitbart, the bat mitzvah of Reese Grodas, the birth of Jolie Elise Voliand, and the birth of Gavin Ross Schleifer. We also wish a mazel tov to Shai Levi and Dahlia Horowitz on the bar mitzvah of their son Daniel. And now it is my pleasure to invite Daniel and his parents, Dahlia and Shai, to do our candle lighting and our kiddush. We have this, so we'll do the candles, and then we'll do the kiddush. And we are on page 120.
So may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. אמן.
Praise to you. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctified us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the Holy Shabbat our heritage, as a reminder of the work of creation. As first amongst our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You chose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you have given us your Holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. אמן.
אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו
בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה
בראשית,
כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר יציאת
מצרים,
כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני
מקדש השבת. אמן.
Our service continues on page 125. Please join me in reading. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide.
We turn to page 138 to greet the Sabbath bride, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kamela Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalala 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 B'nei Shabbat Kamela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יאללה, 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 בני שבת נקרבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יאללה, 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 בני שבת נקרבלה. Page 144. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. ועלמד יברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכו בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen. Page 146, our call to worship. Ya la 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 la
Page 148 with Ma'ariv Aravim. Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, uma'avdil bein yom uvein layla. Adonai tzivaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue on page 150. Together at the bottom of the page. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom
Al levavecha, vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, vishivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam le'ob. At the top of page 157, please join me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
la 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 prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her, just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Beginning on page 164 and following on the even pages, we rise in body or spirit for our Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chazdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkei l'chaim bechesed. Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim. Umatir asurim. Umkayem emunato lishene afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot. Umido melach. Melech memit umchayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated.
We continue page 171.
We read together at the top of the page. Can you turn my sound down? Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el.
Kadosh. Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki ata hu melech Adon Lechol hashalom Ki ata hu melech Adon Lechol hashalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam V'tov beinecha levarich et Amcha Yisrael Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך Baruch atah Adonai Amavarech et amo Yisrael Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam 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 Tasim leolam Tasim leolam. We pause for a moment to silent prayer. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu liratzon imrei fi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, v'goali, Yehiyu liratzon imrei fi. V'hegyon libi
On page 371, we continue with Misha Beirach. We always take a moment in our service to say a prayer for those who are ill and those who are in need of healing and wholeness, be it of their body, their mind, or their spirit. This evening, we especially call to mind in our prayers Stephen Rice, Jordan Silverman, Brian Roche, Roberta Feibush, Arlene Schwartz, Harriet Domro, Barbara Roth, Ron Labovitz, Elisa Foreman, Sid Schulman, Mort Cohen, Mel Crystal, Gail Schesser, Brian Lynn, Hillary Gross, Skylar Herman, Amy Gutterson, Sarah Henny Freda Malka, Valipa Gudel, Jordan Harwitz, Grayson Chukovsky, Spencer Gray Rothstein, Brody Scher, Fira Schwartz, Samuel Finkelstein, Alexander and Eugenia Litovskaya, Debbie Pincus, Joyce Welkis, Sandy Tankus, Jared Narodsky, Howard Shane, Ava Wasserman, Rich Riley, David Aaron, Ilana Shalev, Paul Phillips, Maya Madeline Capuccilli, Evan Goldberg, Tony Buxbaum, Carrie Martuscelli, Rachel Orenstein, Jordan Mattis, Lipa Gudel Ben Sarah Basha Vipinya Moisha, and Freda Malka Bat Masha Esther Venachum Aharon. We also recall all those who are afflicted with COVID-19. If there are people who you would like to mention, people who could use a prayer for healing, I invite you to simply say their names aloud now. For those we've named, for those we haven't, and for those we name silently in our hearts. Misha Beirach, Avotenu Vimotenu, may the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those who are ill. May their doctors and nurses be skillful and compassionate. May those who care for them find support and comfort, and may they all be granted Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, the complete healing of their body and their spirit, as together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body,
The renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. As a rabbi, there are many times that I'm asked, so what's so important about being Jewish? Why be Jewish? It's an essential question. We live in a society that embraces autonomy and personal choice. We choose what we wear, where we live, what we eat, what entertains us. So telling a child that they are Jewish because they were born that way isn't necessarily compelling in the era of such broad personal freedom. We also live in an age of incredible science and technology, which people always think of as the opposite of faith. You have science and then you have faith, and they're two different things. We want answers and proof to our questions, yet theology is not evidence-based. A sixth grader once told me that she would believe in God when someone could prove God's existence. She's now in her 30s, a mother with children, and I wonder what she believes now. Over the course of a few hours and several cups of coffee, I could happily regale you with the many reasons why I think being Jewish is compelling, meaningful, and even necessary. Most importantly, I believe that being Jewish gives us purpose and direction inspiring us to live lives that are meaningful, impactful, and rich. The Torah portion from this Shabbat is a wonderful example of this. Last week, we started reading Exodus. The Jews had been in Egypt for around 400 years. A new Pharaoh came to power who didn't know Joseph, and fearing the Israelites would join with Egypt's enemies, they enslaved the Jews, cruelly oppressing them, even murdering their infant boys to prevent the Jewish people from being able to propagate. God heard the cries of the Israelites and sent Moses, with the assistance of Aaron, to stand up before Pharaoh and to demand that Pharaoh free the people. But this week, despite God's promise that they would be redeemed from Egypt, the Israelites' spirits remain crushed. We read in Exodus 6:9, Moses told the Israelites, but they did not listen to him because their spirit was broken and because their labor was harsh. You might wonder why they wouldn't listen to Moses. But perhaps the better question is, why couldn't they listen to Moses? Now, Moses said that he wasn't the right leader when God asked him. He said he was slow of tongue, not a man of eloquence or words. And though he felt he lacked inspiration, it wasn't really about his abilities or inabilities in the end. In fact, the Israelites' sense of crushed spirit wasn't even really about him at all. They had lost their hope because their spirit was broken and their labor was harsh. They had lost their hope because they were suffering. Their situation was so terrible, how could they even entertain any possibility for change? Rabbi Jonathan Sacks taught that one of the most humanizing values in Judaism is found in these words, that if you want to improve people's spiritual situation, you must first alleviate their suffering. The ancient rabbis of the Talmud understood this in terms of physical suffering. They taught im ein kemach ein Torah. If you have no food, you have no Torah. Because how can one who is struggling merely to survive have the wherewithal to study Torah, to grow or blossom or develop spiritually? Access to basics like food, housing, or clothing allow for human growth and development. And we might also expand that to include other kinds of suffering, things like illness, depression, loss, or loneliness, for example. It is hard for people to be open to hope or possibility or blossoming when they suffer with these challenges. The amazing thing about the Torah portion and about the book of Exodus is that Moses, who never felt he was the right man for the job in the first place, he never turned away from the people's pain. He was present to them in their suffering, helped them to move forward, worked to improve their situation, walked for 40 years through the desert as they whined their way through the wilderness. And he even got them into a promised land that he would never enter, experience, or enjoy himself. And in the end, Moses ends up being one of the most inspirational leaders that we read about in Torah. We learn from him that our spiritual work is to help alleviate suffering in this world, to feed the hungry and house the homeless, to visit the sick, to protect the vulnerable, to bring hope to the homeless, and to visit the lonely. Because in doing so, we bring holiness into this world, and we bring people closer to their own promised land. This is one of the many teachings of Jewish tradition that guide us in Jewish living. Because being Jewish isn't only about prayer or study or giving up cheeseburgers. It isn't only about whether God exists or if the world was created in 7 days. The most important part about being Jewish is being a mensch, alleviating pain and suffering where you can, and leaving the world a better place than how you found it. So maybe this week, consider what you can do to be a Moses in the world. What can you do this week to alleviate some suffering from someone else? With a phone call, a visit, a donation, or an hour of time. We certainly cannot remove all the suffering in the world, but to be a Jew means we can't turn away from the pain either. even if we can't fix it all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We continue now, page 586 with Aleinu. Please rise as the ark is opened.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, vigor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu kore'im umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noteh shamayim ve'oser haaretz, umoshav yigaro b'shamayim mimal, ushchinatu zo, begovhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes zulato, kagatuv betorato, v'yadat hayom v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, bashamayim imal, ve'al haaretz mitachat ein od, v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, ushemo echad. Please be seated.
Page 599. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. If you are here remembering a loved one and we read their name, we do invite you to stand and to remain standing until we all join in rising for the mourner's Kaddish at the end. This evening, we remember the over 1,125,000 Americans and the 6.7 million human beings around the world who have succumbed to COVID-19. We recall the name of those whose families are currently in the 7-day mourning period of Shiva: Shelley Glashow, the mother of Devin Glashow and Renee Glashow, mother-in-law of Jody Glashow, and grandmother of Morgan and Reed. We remember those whose families are in the 30-day mourning period of Shloshim: Frederick Neeson, Harold Spitelnik, and Renee Nocera. And if you're here remembering someone who has passed away in the last year, we invite you to rise. We remember those whose yard site falls this weekend: Benjamin Abrams, Fanny Alderman, Harris Anderman, Gus Oster, Michael Barron, James Beiser, Francis Bergen, Kenneth S. Bidner, Ruth Brackfeld, Mikhail Bronovich, Alex Citron, Robert Della Torre, Casper DeVito, Nettie Duger, Leon Drucker, the Bolender family, Sarah Fermaglish, Jack Fireman, Saul Fisher, Robert Fisher, Bessie Zolan Fox, Ella Fox, William Friedman, Francis Friedman, Alex Gardner, Eleanor Gerlich, Norman Gastman, Morris Gelber, Irvin Goldberger, Lester Golden, Daniel Shepard Goldenberg, Ann Gontarski, Harry Robert Gross, Mark Gross, David Halpert, Seth Hanover, Lois Heller, Jean Iskowitz, Ida Kalmus, Max Karpf.
Herman Kessler, Myrna Klass, Sylvia Klein, Hannah Kutting, Minnie Koloko, Betty Konofsky, Bernard Kupferman, Rose Kushner, Robert Lev, Hope Lipman, Pearl Martyr, Seymour Martyr, Herbert Messenger, Helen Moorstein, Jenny Moskowitz, Deborah Nyberg, Karen Norat, Eleanor Osterwitz, Pat Porter, Rosalind Pataski, Samuel S. Rausch, B. Richmond, Raymond Rosen, Irving Schiller, Phyllis Schloss, Irma Schneier, David Schwartz, David Dewey Seifter, Larry Slater, Pauline Santup, Michael Sporn, Dorothy Sweet, Bertha Tinkler, Sarah Waldman, Joseph Wasserman, Gerald Wasserman, Benjamin Waxman, Archie Wexler, Helen Weiss, Abraham Weissman, Gussie Wolk. And each week we call to mind and name 6 individuals who perished in the Shoah, the Holocaust. Zhenya Galen, Isaac Gorbatsky, Bunya Bettelman, Ida Schwarzman, Rosa Engelman, Anatoly Ortenberg.
Zichronam Lavracha, may those who have touched our lives continue to bless us through the beauty of their memory. Page 598, we now rise as a community for the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalamei alamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to those who mourn and comfort to those who are bereaved, as together we say.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen. Please be seated.
So before we conclude, we always like to ask, is there any good news that anyone has for this week? Yes, Susie. You're here. That's good news.
So, I have a loud voice, I'm sure you can hear me. In my quest to experience Shabbat to its fullest, I always take the central synagogue services, and I leave here, and then I go home and spend another hour and a half with them. That's my Shabbat. So I was so pleasantly thrilled last week when they always announce the special guests in their congregation, and I hear them say, and the students of Temple Shari Emeth in Manalapan, which they have trouble pronouncing,
Everybody does.
New Jersey, and I say, Lenny, come back here, I really want you to hear this. So I was very excited.
So our eighth and first of all, our mic isn't working, so those of you who are joining us on Facebook and other places, I will just recap quickly. Susie watches our service and then Central Synagogue service, and she was thrilled last week when she heard our students were welcomed at Central Synagogue. Our 8th and 9th grades go on a trip to New York City. We join Temple Bethel, and the kids spend the weekend in the city, and they go to Central on Friday night. Oh, and they also, yes. They're very polite. Any other nice things? Yes, Laura. Scott and Megan had a baby, which means that Laura now has 3 great-grandchildren. That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
Everybody's doing well? Oh, his name is Gavin Ross after Jerry. Oh, poo. Everyone's healthy and well? Oh, Good, good.
Yes.
That's very good news. Good job on A+ on your homework. You get an A+
That was
too.
great news, yes.
Anything else? Yes.
This might be good news for some, bad news for others, but it's been a snowless winter so far.
A snowless winter. Who's
true.
happy about that? Who wants a snow day? There you go. Even the teacher is raising her hand in the back. Yeah, we'll see. Still got a few weeks to go. Any other good news? Emma, what's the news? He becomes bar mitzvah tomorrow. It sounds so much better when you say it. It's nice to celebrate your nephew's bar mitzvah. Boo, boo, boo. All right. Well, you look hungry, so anyone who has not yet become bar or bat mitzvah, or anyone, come on, you won't? But look, I can't eat this all myself. Come on. Anyone who's not become bar mitzvah, anyone who's celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, or if you're just hungry and you need a nosh, come on up and join us. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me work.
Please join us. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our prayer is joyfully said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. To close, we join together in Oseh Shalom Bimromav. May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace for us, for all Israel, and for all the world. And let us say, were you paying attention? And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. Very good. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
So I invite you, if you're with someone, to reach out and grab them, or to put your hands on your heart and take a little blessing in. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
And
May
Yiratzon.
you be blessed. May you be safe. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May you be
Yiratzon.
luminous. May you be loved. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Ken Yiratzon.
May you be joyous. May you be healthy. May you be whole. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.